All right, let's kick things off with this. Today, in Augusta, Maine, a settlement touching on education, free speech, and the law has been reached, and it's got statewide ripple effects.
Hi, I'm Leah.
And I'm Garrett. Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett in Augusta, Maine. First up, Brewer Schools settle $350,000 with the widow of activist Sean McBrady. Brewer School Department, that's the public school system across the river from Bangor, was sued in February 2024 by McBrady, a parents' rights advocate who argued his First Amendment rights were violated when the district asked him to remove an online post about Brewer High School students. After he died in June 2024, his widow, Patricia McBrady, continued the case. As of March 2026, the district agreed to pay $350,000 to settle. A little context. The First Amendment protects free speech from government limits, and schools are public entities, so disputes like this test where school policy ends and constitutional rights begin. McBrady had other clashes with districts and was even banned from some school grounds for violating rules. Back in 2022, he won a separate $40,000 settlement against RSU 22. That's a regional school unit in the Hampton area. In this Brewer case, the court also made clear there was no causal connection between his suicide and the lawsuit. And not gonna lie, here's a surprising bit. Even while banned from school grounds at times, he still appeared on national TV to push his views.
This is heavy. Free speech cases around schools can get thorny, which just means complicated with lots of sharp edges. Students' privacy, community safety, and a person's right to speak online can pull in different directions. The settlement suggests a practical move to avoid bigger legal costs and attorney fees, limiting the district's financial risk. I appreciate the court stating clearly there was no legal link between his death and the lawsuit. That distinction matters for the family and the public record. Why settle now, Garrett?
It's legal math, mostly. Even if a district thinks it could win, a First Amendment case can rack up big attorney fees on both sides, and if they lose, the district could owe the other side's fees too. Settling at $350,000 can be a cost control play.
Okay, let's move on. Graham Plattner's unlikely rise in Maine politics. Plattner is a Democratic U.S. Senate candidate. Years back, he ran for student body president with what classmates called radical ideas. Radical here meaning outside the usual playbook. He served as a U.S. Marine, worked as an oyster farmer after returning to Maine, and he's had controversial online posts that critics question. Since around 2018, he's been organizing locally, and by 2026, he's now a leading contender challenging Governor Janet Mills for the Democratic nomination. That's a big swing. His message has a populist streak, talking directly to everyday frustrations and promising people-first fixes. Younger voters especially seem energized. There's clear debate over his past comments and whether that record fits a Senate role, but his grassroots organizing, think shoe leather meetups, small-dollar fundraising, lots of field work, has for real put him in front of an established figure.
Yeah, that checks out. I'm intrigued and, a little skeptical in the healthy way. Leading in polls against a sitting governor is not nothing. It shows some voters want a shakeup. But momentum gets tested fast. Once your ideas hit committee rooms and budget spreadsheets, that's where theory meets line items. Why do you think the polls tipped his way, Leah?
Two things. One, he's offering a contrast, clearly different goals and style. Two, his campaign makes people feel seen, especially folks who think the system overlooks them. That combination can override doubts about past posts, at least for now.
Next up, Maine broadens naturopathic doctors' prescribing powers. Naturopathic doctors, or NDs, are licensed providers who focus on holistic care, whole person care, lifestyle, and prevention. Under a law signed in April 2026 by Governor Janet Mills, they can now prescribe more medications and use IV therapies, that's intravenous treatment. Before this, in Maine, they couldn't even prescribe basics like antibiotics. Supporters say this helps fix access problems, especially in rural communities where getting to a primary care appointment can take weeks or a long drive.
I see the access win. Fewer barriers matters when you're sick. But I've got questions about training. Opponents like some medical groups worry whether NDs have the same pharmacology depth as MDs and DOs, meaning medical doctors and doctors of osteopathic medicine. Safe prescribing isn't just write a script, it's interactions, dosing, red flags. If the state expands duties, I want tight guardrails and clear referral pathways. Why make the change now?
It's access pressure, basically. Workforce shortages have been stubborn, and lawmakers see NDs as one more lane to get patients timely care. The bet is that added authority, plus rules, improves coverage without compromising safety.
Switching gears just a little. Maine's Supreme Judicial Court, that's our state's highest court led by Chief Justice Valerie Stanfill, is pushing back against a proposed U.S. Department of Justice rule. The DOJ, meaning federal prosecutors and lawyers, wants a rule that would suspend state bar investigations into federal attorneys while the federal review happens. In plain English, if a DOJ lawyer is under a state ethics probe, the state would have to wait. The court sent a letter in April 2026 arguing that the proposal steps on Maine's authority to regulate lawyers who practice here. The DOJ filed the rule with the Federal Register in March 2026. Critics call it federal overreach, which means taking more power than is proper. The Maine State Bar Association also opposes it.
Yeah, that's a solid point about balance. If state probes are paused, discipline, think professional consequences when rules are broken, could be delayed for months or longer. The flip side is the DOJ wanting uniform handling of its own attorneys. But for states, it's like, hey, we license lawyers here. Let us do our job on our timeline. Last up, 3 Maine artists just landed prestigious Guggenheim Fellowships. Guggenheim is an award given since 1925 to support independent work by artists, scientists, and scholars. This year, 223 people were selected out of nearly 5,000 applicants. From Maine, novelist Jessica Anthony and poet Myron Hardy, both from Bates College in Lewiston, and photographer Samantha Appleton. The fellowship is a financial runway, so they can focus deeply on their projects. In this case, work tied to American history and poetry.
That's so wild and honestly inspiring. Recognition like this doesn't just lift individual careers. It shines a light on Maine's creative ecosystem, our schools, our galleries, our community spaces. It tells students here that big league work can grow right from a Lewiston classroom or a Portland studio.
That's it for today on Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett in Augusta, Maine. Stay informed and come back tomorrow.
Have a great day, everyone.